Hi everyone, Chris here with a recent vinyl finds video featuring new releases and recent releases from New Zealand artists. I've been meaning to make this for a while, but it always seems that I'm waiting for a particular record, to turn up before I make the video. I've had an incredibly kind of frustrating month with lots and lots of things ordered, lots of money spent, but very few records turning up, including some really frustrating things like we've pre-ordered and then the record turns up in the shop and I still haven't received the pre-order weeks after it's been in the store. That really frustrates me. But there are some good records that I have received, so I thought I'd quickly run through them. Starting off with this, Deforestation from Dudley Benson. A really unique and a creative record that probably won't be to everyone's taste. Dudley Benson is a chorister and he's been releasing material since 2006. In fact, this record here, Minerals and Rocks, came out in 2006, and this was probably the first that anyone had heard of Dudley Benson. A pretty extraordinary record, and taking a couple of, I think it starts with kind of these a cappella arrangements and then kind of works beats and kind of backing to them, but a lot of the rhythm provided by his vocals. And I picked this up at the same time from his website as getting Deforestation. The story behind Deforestation is that a few years ago Dudley Benson recorded a number of songs by Hiranini Melbourne, a New Zealand Māori composer who'd written songs in Te Reo Māori about New Zealand birds, a lot of those songs for children, and Dudley gave them these kind of complex and really interesting a cappella arrangements and performed and released an album of those on CD. And now he's taken some of those tracks and given them to people to remix, including people like Matt Moss and New Zealander Steph Animal, and there's some really interesting, very interesting kind of arrangements and remixes on here. It's a unique and very creative record, one that won't be to everyone's taste, but I'm really impressed by it. And as I say, Minerals and Rocks from 2006 by Dudley Benson, 4-track EP. What we'll listen to now is Gold by Arthur Abez. I know very little about this artist. I saw on Facebook that it was going to be released. There was a Bandcamp page. I checked it out. It's kind of got a very kind of 60s psychedelic rock vibe to it. Some great songs and performances, and yeah, it's one that I've been listening to a lot. It's a nice kind of chilled out, but there's nothing dull about it. There's lots going on, and as I say, a kind of nice, kind of laid back psych feel. Right, what do we got here? Oh, this 7-inch here, The Builders. The Utopians Are Just Out Boozing. This is from Bill Doreen and The Builders, and I was lucky enough just in the last weekend to see Bill Doreen play, both a solo set from Bill Doreen and a Builders set, which included this song. And this song, I think it's extraordinary. I think it's one of, Bill Doreen's been around for a long time. He's been releasing records since the late 70s, and I think Utopians really stands out as one of his key songs over that whole period of time, and he performed that, which was great, along with a number of classics like the Alligator Song, Aliens, and so on. So this 7-inch has been released by Smart Guy Records, and I highly recommend it. Another 7-inch, new 7-inch from Fat Freddy's Drop, Slings and Arrows. There's a vocal mix and an instrumental mix. For those of you familiar with Fat Freddy's Drop, you'll kind of know what you're getting with this, kind of more of what they do, but a nice track for the start of summer. This is another Bada Bing reissue of 80s and 90s New Zealand material. The Terminals, Singles and Sundries. This collects together tracks from a bunch of 7-inches. Well, all of the Terminals material is incredibly hard to find, any of the 7-inches or albums, so nice to have this collection put together by Bada Bing. And here you've got, so this features Stephen Kogel, who put out a great record earlier this year called Dark Matter, Peter Stapleton, who also played at the festival where I saw Bill Doreen and a couple of different bands. You've got Brian Crook on here, who was in the Renderers. So really a who's who of that New Zealand music scene that got picked up with a lot of interest by American labels in the late 80s and early 90s. Car Crash Set were an early 80s New Zealand electro pop, kind of in a New Order kind of vein. And this is a compilation which was put together by Analog Records in 2008, a German label, but they've just reissued it this year. I've actually got a couple of originals of Car Crash Set which I picked up really cheap at garage sales and so on. I've seen them in the store lately and they're going for a lot of money. This brings together some tracks from the Car Crash sets of the day, plus some unreleased demo tracks. They've put it out on 180 gram clear vinyl. It does sound great, and some of this early 80s kind of electro, indie electro stuff is a bit dated, but I think this really stands up, and as I say, there seems to be quite I don't know if it's a New Order influence, but a New Order similar kind of sound to a couple of those. And in my last video I showed the album Swim from Die Die Die, which is a great record. Nice, sharp, abrasive guitar sound, and angular songs. What Die 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 do best, lots of energy. And I said on that video that they were releasing another version of it on Small Town America Records, and that being a sucker, I'd probably get it. Well, sucker, here we go. So the first release had the album with a kind of a matte cover and an Obi strip with the name of it on there. So what we've got here, done a really nice job of this. So the sleeve has got the title and the track listing on it, while the record still a matte cover, and it's nice smoky green vinyl. So yeah, pleased with that. And I think they might also, yeah, it's got a different inner sleeve, so this green inner sleeve rather than one with photos that the first release, which I think is on, jeepers, no, I'll be guessing if I guess the label, so I won't. So that's from Die Die Die, Swim. So I'm hoping that in the next few days the floodgates will open and all of these records I've got on order might actually turn up, and I'll have something to show. In the meantime, please do check out my latest radio show. What I did on that show was a special on the Nowhere Festival, extraordinary festival that was over 5 days. I went to a couple of days featuring New Zealand kind of experimental outer edge musicians, and like I talked about Bill Doreen playing there, Peter Stapleton, there's people like Pumice, Kraus, a lot of my favourites in that kind of noise experimental area that I've shown on some of these videos, and I played a special radio show featuring records by those artists. You can check all of that out on facebook.com/countingthebeat or my website countingthebeat.gen, it's GEN.NZ. Cheers.